Alexander the Great, the king who conquered the ancient world. Hello. And welcome back. Today, we travel more than 2,000 years into the past. To a time of kings, warriors, and empires. This is the story of a young man who changed the world before he turned 30. His name was Alexander. History remembers him as Alexander the Great. But before he became a legend, he was simply a boy. A curious boy growing up in the kingdom of Macedonia. Part 1, The Prince of Macedonia. Alexander was born in 356 BC. His father was King Philip II of Macedonia, a brilliant military leader. His mother was Queen Olympias, a strong and mysterious woman. From the beginning, Alexander's life was different. He was not raised like an ordinary child. He was raised to become a king. He learned how to fight, how to ride horses, how to command soldiers. But he also learned something very important. He learned to think. His teacher was one of the greatest philosophers in history, Aristotle. Aristotle taught Alexander about science, philosophy, medicine, and literature. Alexander loved stories about heroes, especially the stories of Achilles, the great warrior of Greek mythology. He did not just admire heroes. He wanted to become one. Part 2, The Boy Who Tamed a Wild Horse. One day, a wild horse was brought to the royal palace. The horse was huge, powerful, and completely uncontrollable. No soldier could ride it. The animal kicked and fought everyone who tried. King Philip became angry. The horse was expensive, and it seemed useless. But young Alexander noticed something. The horse was afraid of its own shadow. So Alexander turned the horse toward the sun. The shadow disappeared. The horse became calm. Slowly, carefully, Alexander climbed onto the horse. And for the first time, the wild animal obeyed someone. The horse's name was Bucephalus, and it would become Alexander's companion in many battles. When King Philip saw what his son had done, he said something unforgettable. "My son, you must find a kingdom big enough for your ambitions. Macedonia is too small for you." Part 3, A Young King. Alexander's life changed suddenly. When he was only 20 years old, his father was assassinated. Philip was dead. And Alexander became king. But being king did not mean peace. Many Greek cities believed the young king was weak. They thought they could rebel. They were wrong. Alexander moved quickly. He defeated rebellions. He destroyed the city of Thebes as a warning to others. Soon, all of Greece recognized him as their leader. But Alexander did not want to stop there. He had a much bigger dream. He wanted to conquer the Persian Empire. At that time, Persia was the largest empire in the world. Many people believed conquering Persia was impossible. Alexander believed the opposite. Part 4, The War Against Persia. In 334 BC, Alexander crossed into Asia with about 40,000 soldiers. Compared to the Persian army, this force was small. But Alexander had something powerful: strategy, confidence, and fearless leadership. He fought his first major battle at the Battle of the Granicus River. The Persian army was strong, but Alexander attacked with incredible speed. His soldiers trusted him completely, and the Persians were defeated. This was only the beginning. Alexander continued moving deeper into the Persian Empire. City after city fell under his control. But the greatest challenge was still ahead: the Persian king himself. King Darius III. Part 5, The Battle That Changed History. Alexander and King Darius finally faced each other at the Battle of Issus. The Persian army was enormous. Some historians say it had hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Alexander's army was much smaller. But Alexander understood something important. Battles are not won only with numbers. They are won with leadership. In the middle of the chaos, Alexander led a direct attack toward King Darius. The Persian king became afraid. And something unbelievable happened. Darius fled the battlefield. When the king ran away, his army collapsed. Alexander had defeated the most powerful empire in the world. Part 6: The Dream of a World Empire. After defeating Persia, Alexander continued his journey. He conquered Egypt. The Egyptians welcomed him as a hero. They even declared him a pharaoh. There, he founded a new city. A city that still exists today. Alexandria. Alexander did not want to stop. He moved east again. Through deserts. Through mountains. Through unknown lands. His empire grew larger and larger. Eventually, he reached India. His soldiers had traveled thousands of kilometers. They had fought countless battles. And finally, they were exhausted. For the first time, his army refused to go further. Alexander had to accept reality. It was time to return home. Part 7: The Sudden Ending. Alexander returned to the city of Babylon. He was only 32 years old. He had created one of the largest empires in history, stretching from Greece to Egypt to India. But suddenly, he became very sick. No one knows exactly what happened. Some say it was a fever. Others believe he was poisoned. After several days of illness, Alexander the Great died. He was only 32 years old. Final part: Why Alexander still matters. Alexander's empire did not survive long after his death. His generals divided the territory, but his influence remained. He spread Greek culture across the ancient world. This period became known as the Hellenistic Age. Ideas, science, philosophy, and language traveled across continents. Alexander did not just conquer land. He connected civilizations. Even today, more than 2,300 years later, people still study his life. Because Alexander was not only a conqueror, he was a symbol of ambition, of courage, of vision. His story reminds us of something powerful. Age does not define greatness. Determination does. And sometimes, one person can change the course of history. Learn English slowly and clearly. Listen, repeat, and feel the words. Repeat this video every day to improve your English. Alexander the Great, the king who conquered the ancient world. Part 8, the man behind the legend. We often imagine Alexander as a fearless warrior. A man who never doubted himself. A king who always moved forward. But the truth is more complex. Alexander was not only a conqueror. He was also a thinker. He carried books during his campaigns. One of them was the Iliad, the story of Achilles. Alexander believed Achilles was the greatest hero in history. And in many ways, Alexander tried to live like him. He wanted glory. Not ordinary success, but eternal fame. He once said something very revealing. He said he was afraid of only one thing. Not death. Not defeat. He feared that there would be no more worlds left to conquer. This shows us something about his personality. Alexander was driven by ambition, but also by imagination. He believed the world was meant to be explored. Part 9, a leader who fought beside his soldiers. Many kings commanded their armies from far away. They stayed safe, protected, watching the battle from a distance. Alexander did the opposite. He fought in the front lines, right next to his soldiers. He was wounded many times. Arrows hit him. Swords cut him. He nearly died in battle more than once. But this created something powerful. His soldiers trusted him. They believed in him. Because he shared their danger. He shared their suffering. When soldiers see their leader fighting beside them, something extraordinary happens. They become unstoppable. Part 10, a king who respected other cultures. Most conquerors destroy everything they capture. They erase cultures. They impose their own traditions. But Alexander was different. When he conquered Persia, he did something surprising. He adopted some Persian customs. He wore Persian clothing. He allowed Persian leaders to keep positions of power. He encouraged marriages between Greeks and Persians. Many of his soldiers did not like this. They believed Alexander was becoming too foreign. But Alexander had a bigger vision. He did not want only a Greek empire. He wanted a united world. A world where cultures mixed together. In many ways, Alexander was centuries ahead of his time. Part 11, The Mystery of His Death. Alexander died suddenly in Babylon. And even today, historians still debate what happened. Some believe he died from malaria. Others believe it was typhoid fever. There are even theories about poisoning. But there is no clear answer. One strange detail makes the mystery even deeper. After his death, his body reportedly did not decay for several days. Some ancient writers believed this meant Alexander was divine. But modern historians think something else may have happened. Perhaps he was in a deep paralysis, a rare medical condition. If that is true, Alexander may have been conscious, unable to move, while people believed he was already dead. It is a chilling possibility. Part 12, The Empire Without a King. When Alexander died, he left no clear successor. His generals asked a simple question. Who should rule the empire? According to legend, Alexander whispered, "To the strongest." And that is exactly what happened. His generals began fighting each other. The empire was divided into several kingdoms. Egypt, Persia, Macedonia, Syria. The great empire Alexander built disappeared. But his cultural influence remained. Greek ideas spread across 3 continents. Greek became an international language. Science and philosophy flourished. Alexander's empire may have fallen, but the world he created continued to grow. Final reflection, the power of one life. Alexander lived only 32 years. Many people today are older than that. Yet in those 32 years, he reshaped the ancient world. His story reminds us of something powerful. Time is limited, but impact is not. One determined person, with vision, with courage, with relentless ambition, can change history. Alexander did. And thousands of years later, we are still talking about him. And today, you are learning English through his story. History becomes language. Language becomes knowledge. And knowledge becomes power. This is Interpret and Unlock English. And our next journey through history is waiting. Rocket.